All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Really excited for today and to introduce you guys to today's awesome guests. We have Becci Galloway, who is out in the UK, and you guys are going to get to enjoy her awesome UK accent, which we were just talking about before here. We're really excited for you guys to meet her. Becci is a spiritual entrepreneur and psychic medium. So she does all sorts of cool things that I'll let her share with you in a second. And we've been communicating just through Instagram for a little bit, and just really excited that we get to meet and talk here for the first time. And makes it so awesome with technology that we could just connect with people from the other side of the planet, click one button, and here we are. So without further ado from me, I want to introduce you guys to Becci, and you can share with the audience so they're more familiar with you, who you are, what you do, why you do it, any of that good stuff.
So yeah, like you said, I'm a psychic medium. Primarily, I guess people would know me for the psychic medium readings I do and tarot, oracle. But I kind of think that since I went down that path, I ventured out, and I think lots of different things have shown their way to me. Like inner child work, astrology, I'm really into that at the minute. There's just so many different paths, I think, when it comes to, when you look into who we are as a soul and as a spirit, there's just so much that makes us up to be each unique. And I love that. It blows my mind. And I love helping other people on their path of kind of self-discovery and understanding who they are and how they can get the best out of their experience here. So yeah, I think, spiritual entrepreneur, because there's just, I've got my fingers in lots of pies when it comes to things spiritual. I love it, and I love meeting people like yourself. And there's lots of other people on Instagram. I think like you said, technology is great because we can really connect with people all over the world that can help inspire us. And I think the one thing that I stay true to is that, although I think that the reason I gave myself the name Spiritual Mama is because I kept seeing all these lovely names online. I thought, oh, that's a really good name. But what defines me, I think, is that I kept having this inner battle of, I'm this spiritual person, but I'm also human. And I have 4 children that drive me insane. And as much as I try and practice patience and everything like that, I still get impatient. And so it felt fitting that that side of me comes in too, because being a mum they teach me things every single day. I think I've nailed it, and then they'll throw a curveball at me and I think, oh my gosh, I don't know. And I've learned, I think, how to be more understanding of situations and kind of trying to, when they come to me for advice, I think I kind of then get my spiritual hat on to kind of think, okay, I need to take my mummy out of this, my own bias, as it were, to be able to advise them from a better place. And I have a lovely group of teenagers that I love working with, who I try and help detach fear from things that they sense, which is just their intuition. So yeah, I think the two kind of combine, the fact that I am really spiritual and I love everything spiritual, but I'm also a real life mama who gets stressed at the shop and with other people sometimes. And that's what teaches us patience and stuff, is when we're driving along and someone doesn't put their hand up to say thanks. I used to get really irritated with that and think, oh, that's so rude, you haven't thanked me for letting you through. But then I don't know what's happened in their day. Anything could have happened, and it's okay that they didn't say thank you. Do you know what I mean? That's my ego kind of going, I can't believe you didn't thank me for that. So it's funny how the two kind of have combined and made me this better version of myself, I think. I hope.
I love it. I love how you just described all that, and just showing the beauty of the entire human experience that all of us experience, because we have the moments where, yes, we are, connected with these energies of being happy and joyful and loving. And in those moments, we're connected with God, universe, source energy, spirit, all that is, whatever you want to call it. The force is what a previous guest just shared a couple of days ago.
My husband would like that one.
So in those moments we are. And then there's other moments where, we don't have to make ourselves wrong for it. It's part of the human experience as well, where we're being, anxious or worried or angry or blaming or, whatever it is. And the fact that you're so self-aware of that and noticing the lessons that have come as a result, and just the ongoing,
And I think you're able, I think the one thing about being more kind of enlightened is that you're acknowledging that moment when you're catching yourself go, I probably shouldn't have reacted like that. And you kind of forgive yourself for it. I think that's a big thing, is forgiving ourselves for the things that we probably shouldn't do, but we've done. And then acknowledging it and being able to go, yeah, I was wrong. You know, and I even tell my children, I think that's one thing that as parents in a certain generation weren't able to do, is to tell their children, I was wrong. You know, they kind of had to stand up and go, no, what I say is what I say. Whereas with me, if I'm with my kids and I say something and I might have been stressed with something else, I very quickly acknowledge no, and I'll say to them, I'm really sorry, I was wrong. You know, and I think it takes a lot of work to be able to get to that point of thinking we're not right all the time. And because that eats away at you, I think. You can know inside that what I did was wrong, but pride gets the better of us and we think, no, I can't admit that. I have to now just run with it. You know, there's a saying I never forget hearing once, oh, what tangled web we weave when we first learn to deceive. And it is, you kind of, when you start on that, not just with lying, but with anything you do that makes you feel out of alignment with yourself, you feel that you have to keep going to show for like saving face, if it were. And so I think sometimes when you're more enlightened, you're able to go, no, actually, that was wrong. That's not in anyone's best interest to keep going down that path.
Absolutely. I love what you're just describing, because as we do continue to go on this path, when we have a desire to want to just be aware of these things where, you know, we can catch ourselves in a moment of, you know, I know that my energy was off there and that's not something that felt good that I said or that I did. And being able to acknowledge that, it gets to the point as time goes. And there's parts of my life that, for instance, I used to be, you know, one of my biggest challenges years ago was a blind spot. So I had no choice. And this is why I do what I do, because I love helping people have the light bulb switch on to where now they have the awareness. And the awareness gives every single one of us a choice. And that's all I care about for humanity, is having a choice. Because if it's a blind spot, then you can't choose to do anything about it. But I used to be really critical of myself or about others, and not in a mean, malicious way where I'm like out, like, you know, just being a jerk to people, but just the slightest bit where it was affecting my energy. And because I wasn't aware of it, momentum could increase where it could throw off my whole day. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, totally. You could go out and someone could, I don't know, not hold a door open for you or something like that, you know, and that straight away, that's like, oh my gosh, how rude. And then you come across someone else and it's like, oh my goodness, you know, like, and you then become this kind of entitled person that thinks that you're not accepting or empathetic to other people and, you know, their day. I think when you're aware of your own faults, as it were, or sort of, as some people would say, your shadow side, when you're aware of that and you can kind of embrace it, you can allow yourself to know when it's kind of creeping in and go, oh, hang on a minute, I need to just take a step back. And then you can also be empathetic to other people that might be having an off day, but might not be in a more enlightened state like we are, you know. And so you kind of think, gosh, I remember how that feels, and I empathize with that person because they don't see what they're doing. They don't see actually what they're doing to other people, but also to themselves, because ultimately it hurts us when we're feeling like that.
Absolutely.
You know?
You inspired me to say two things really quick. And, you know, first, I always like to remind everybody that any term that you refer to as like enlightenment or enlightened, it can only be for any of us in the moment. So we still have the whole, whether shadow side or parts where we're disconnecting ourselves from this loving energy. And so the good news for everybody is, if you're aware that you're there in the moments that you're loving, you're not condemning, you're not judging, you're not blaming, you're not, because if you are, then in those moments you're not loving. So that in those moments you're not enlightened, but in the moments that you are, you actually are. And so it's not something that any of us get to just title ourselves like we're. No. The reason that this is called Enlightened Conversations is because in the moment our intention is to impact the audience and inspire. So we're having this enlightened conversation. But if we were both talking to each other and we're just like complaining to each other, and like it would not be an enlightened conversation. We'd be like complaining.
It is. It's I completely agree. There's so many people, I think that when they first kind of get that aha moment, they're all of a sudden, I'm awakened. And it's like, no, your whole life is a journey where you're constantly learning. And so you're forever kind of going through there's never a complete peak like in life. It's not just a complete peak where you're completely enlightened and like, you know, forever grateful, and you know, there's times when I sit there and I think, oh my gosh, why me, you know, why poor old me, and I you know, but there's other times when I think, oh my gosh, I'm so lucky. If we were forever in that state, we would never learn anything, and so sometimes we have to have those moments that kind of make us think, oh, hang on, that doesn't feel right, but then we learn from it more each time, and so yeah, I think you're right, it's not a constant, it's a journey, you know, it's a constant journey of ups and downs and roundabouts.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that you said that. And here's where we can be, and this is what I encourage and challenge everybody to accept the challenge for themselves, because even though, like what I mentioned, being critical of myself or others was a blind spot for me in the past, and it brought it to light, and now it became a super awareness. Now it's a strength of mine, just being super present in the moment and present moment awareness. Now, if I even catch myself having one thought, two thoughts in a critical nature, I have no problem saying, stop it, Noah. Like I'm not going down that route where it's just like leading to, because momentum is so real. Like if I'm being critical in this example, in the moment, then, you know, that's, you know, one thought, two thoughts. The momentum will carry to where I could feel really off, like quickly. It doesn't take very long. It doesn't need to be, you know, I'm being critical for an hour and now I feel bad. You're feeling worse and worse and worse and worse the longer that you're being critical in this example, or anything else that doesn't feel good. Momentum will just carry you to where you feel worse and worse and worse. So it's great, and the challenge for everybody is just to not make yourself wrong for it, but to be able to catch it as soon as possible as you're in it, so that now you're aware of it. Now the choice is yours. If you want to keep being that way, just know you'll feel worse and worse and worse. You're vulnerable to synchronicities that you don't really want to happen because a lot of times we think of synchronicities that we're really excited about, and this is my favorite part of life. And those come when we're in a really awesome vibe, and we're happy and we're enjoying, and you're living life through like the eyes of a child where we're just adventurous, awesome synchronicities. But then synchronicities that we don't really want can find us also when we're, you know, blaming or angry or rageful. It doesn't surprise me, you know, if some things happen in those moments where you may not like them as much. So just to be aware.
And I think also we have to look at when we're being critical or anything like that, or judging anyone else, it's actually something within us that we're not happy with. That we're 9 times out of 10 when I hear people criticize other people, it's actually more of an issue with them. And very often I hear people criticize other people's positivity, and you kind of think like, oh, they're fake, or oh, they're this, or oh, you know, and it's like, well, why? And why does that bother you? Why? And it's more of an issue internally. When we can look and judge someone else, it's normally something we're not happy about within ourselves, because otherwise we would just turn a blind eye to it, you know, like turn away and go, well, that's for them, you know. But if we can take that time to really judge and criticize someone, it's normally something that's off balance within ourselves.
Absolutely. Such a good point. And I like to joke, caution if you're ever like, which you mentioned, like people being like critical of someone being positive. If you ever find yourself like being critical or judging someone that's like whistling or singing, it's impossible to whistle or sing in a crap mood. Like if you're just like, you know, when you're singing under your breath and you're whistling, like you do that when you're in a good mood. So if you find yourself, because I've been here where it's like, I've been at the gym or something and, you know, I was rushing, or maybe I didn't get the workout I want. I'm thinking about other things. I'm just not in the energetic space, but I'm not even like fully aware of it to where I'm doing something about it. And then somebody's like in the shower, like over here, and they're just whistling, they're just enjoying life. And I'm like, this person whistling. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, no, like so it's just a great reminder for me to be like, all right, let's allow ourselves to return back to the frequency that we like to be in. So I love that you mentioned that, because anything that
people do it. I do it. Sometimes I'll think, oh my gosh, you're so that's not real, that you can't be that happy, you know. And then I think, well, no, actually, I wish I was maybe right in this minute that happy, and that's annoying me, you know. That's what it is, really. I'm jealous. I'm jealous that I'm feeling really rubbish right now, and you're so happy.
I love it. You just said something that this popped into my mind, and then it left, and I knew it would come back, and it just came back because of what you just said. So the way, for everybody out there in the audience, the way that energy works, and it's very simple. If you're let's just say you're happy, and these are just labels, like, but this today in science today, this can be measured. So frequency, you know, can be measured in today's world. So let's just say you're in the energy and the frequency of happy. and then there's somebody else in the same room, it's just you two in the room, and they're like frustrated or, you know, worried or anxious. Not saying you're right or they're wrong or anything like that, but just that's where your energy is right now. One of two things will happen. The happy person will either pull the frustrated person towards them to where now they can play here, or, you know, hopefully this doesn't, well, more than two things, but, or they can pull you to where you're like, why are you always going to kill my mood, kill my vibe? Like, I was happy.
Yeah.
So now you just join them in that energy, which that's unfortunate. Or the third option is you guys won't want to play with each other right now. You won't want to interact. So the frustrated person won't want to be around you. You won't want to be around them. And you guys will reconvene when you guys are in a similar frequency again. But you're just not going to like spend a lot of time with some, like, energy is going to bring itself to each other. So you guys are going to find a frequency to meet. So my advice and encouragement for everybody is choose how you like to be. If you like to feel good, if you like to be happy, if you like to be optimistic, if you like to enjoy life, then choose that for you, and just know that you'll attract people to you to play and enjoy life with you in that frequency. You don't have to go, you know, you don't have to go play in, you know, where they are. I'm not judging them, making them wrong for where they are, but I personally don't hang out and like spend time if there's like complaining, but I don't even see it anymore because I'm so used to that being.
You find that the people that once maybe were like, what do they call them? Like energy vampires or whatever they are. You kind of feel that they're not around when you're able to kind of catch yourself when you're starting to go on that negative spiral, because we all have it. I have it. If something's up with one of the children in particular, that tends to kind of put me on this, oh my gosh, oh, how do I deal with this, or you know, something like that. If I'm feeling negative, it kind of spirals, but I can pick myself up. And I've noticed that all the people that maybe I felt were a bit of a drain on my energy just aren't around so much anymore. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something and then I went off on a tangent. I do that.
It'll always pop back in.
All the time. But yeah, so you're right. Everybody that you kind of attract the same kind of vibrations as you know, like you said, if you're in a happy mood, people warm to that. And then sometimes people choose to be miserable. Some people are just so used to feeling. I in particular know of people that, and I've tried to work with people and help people that are so consumed with their misery that actually when they start to feel happy, it's so unusual for them that they kind of have to bring themselves back down, and they do things that are detrimental to themselves to kind of, because it's what they're used to. They're not used to that kind of happiness. And yeah, and then that's when you kind of think, gosh, I can only help so much, you know, and they have to find their own way on their path. I hate doing that, but sometimes it just gets to a point where some people, even work-wise, some people can be, you get to a point where you think, I can't work with this person anymore. They need to help themselves first as well.
Fun fact about life for everybody out there listening, could be a fun fact or maybe not so fun, however you look at it. By the time we turn 30, about 90% of the thoughts that we think, they've done so much science on this now, have become habits for us. And so it's very predictable if you're feeling a certain way, like extended, you know, like all the time. It's because you're thinking about the same stuff that had you feeling that way yesterday, the day before that. And so it's very likely that tomorrow it's going to be the same thing, the same 90% of whatever you're focusing on, you're going to be thinking about it the same way. And that's going to have your vibe, your energy, your frequency in the moment a certain way. Good news for all of us is when we become aware of that and we can shine light on it and be like, I've been thinking about this one thing this way for a long time now, and my energy is off every time I think about it. Now we can actually make a choice and we can actually rewire that 90% to where that 90% of the way that we habitually are, the vibe, the mood, the energy that we bring to life, we can have that be whatever we want it to be. Like, we're so powerful. We can rewire it really quickly. But just know that if you're experiencing life with someone and not judging them or making them wrong for it, they've shown themselves to be a certain way. Like, they just love to complain about, they like to look at the glass half empty. That's not likely to change tomorrow or the next day or the next day, unless they get to the point where they're like, okay, I see what this is doing to my energy and I want to do something about it. Now there's plenty of different resources and people and that can help them on that path, like the things that Becci does, everything that she does as far as all the tools that she has, whether it be the stuff she does with tarot or psychic reading or any of the stuff, it's all to, and she said this at the very beginning, to bring us back to who we are in those moments. And then from there, it's just a choice on, do we want to continue to be that? Because that's who we truly are. And it's just a choice on whether we want to continue living that way or not. So I don't make anybody wrong for it, but if you're out there right now and you have a family member or friends or coworkers or whatever, and they're where you're choosing to live is just not where they're choosing to live, don't make yourself wrong for not wanting to spend, more time.
I think that's so important, because when we become these kind of, when we label ourselves as like a spiritual person, we feel like we have to accommodate everybody, because that's what's nice. But at the same time, we're still having to grow and evolve. And at some point we have to say, this isn't serving them nor me. And I want to keep on growing. And it's okay to let people go, if they're not part of your, everybody, every single person that we come into contact with is for a reason, and that's good and bad. I've had a really, really violent relationship, but I know how much I grew from that and all the lessons I took from that. And I'm not saying that, I'm careful in what I say when I say that, because I've been there and I know what that feels like. It's horrible, but at the same time, now looking back, I think of all the things I've learned. And so sometimes we meet people that we don't have to hang on to for all our life. We might feel loyal to them because our kind of hearts think, oh gosh, I can't, they're really struggling, or this, that, or the other. But sometimes it's not helping the other person either, to kind of constantly try and inject them with this positive vibe. I have people all the time that ring me up and want me to go and see them because they're feeling really down, and I know it, and I'll get messages off them every day, and it's, oh, can I speak with you, can I speak with you? And if I'm on good form, yes, of course, and I know that I'll give them a little bit of a pep talk and they'll feel better, but then give it a couple of weeks and they want to speak to me again. And then sometimes when I'm feeling off, if I've got something going on in my own life, I have to say, no, I can't, because I can't have that energy right now. I need to be okay as well. And I think another thing that's worth noting as well is, you were saying a minute ago about when you kind of choose to change your actions and think differently. It's also okay to acknowledge that sometimes you don't feel like that. So I think when I first started out on this kind of path years ago, if I started to feel upset, I felt bad, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm not meant to feel like this. I'm not meant to feel like this. And I'd go through this whole, oh my gosh, I've gone backwards like 10 years. Oh no. But it's okay. Like, even some days now, I'm like, oh, I just want to go to bed and I want a nap all day. That's okay. It's not like 10 steps backwards. You have to really look at how far you've already come, and that sometimes you just need an off day. It's not that you've suddenly reverted back to old ways. And I think the way you can know that is because you've acknowledged it. Whereas in the past, you wouldn't have acknowledged it. Now you're going, oh, okay, I need to be aware of this, and I need to rest, or I need to do this, or whatever, to get back to where I want to be.
Absolutely. I'm so happy that you mentioned that right there, because just that self-awareness is just key. I mean, that is the key to all this human experience. Like, if you can be self-aware enough to know that today I could just use some rest. And, when I'm, choosing to go, do the actions that I'm doing in my life, the next day I'm going to be that much more, energized. And, just sometimes we just need to recharge ourselves. And
need to feel the feels. The one thing I say to most people that I work with is, I very often, if I'm starting to feel negative or a little bit upset, I know that if I don't do this, I'm going to lash out at my husband or someone. So I will go and put on really, really, really sad songs. I'll sit in the bath and I'll have a good cry. And I literally cry and cry and cry it all out. And then the emotions can fog us, and they can kind of trick us into thinking we are being someone that doesn't feel authentic. But it's just because we've got these emotions that we're trying not to let out. Especially this time of year, I deal with so many people that have tried to be positive all throughout Christmas and New Year, when really inside they're anxious and they're stressed and they're upset, or they're, and they don't really know how to feel. Let it out. Put on sad film that's going to make you cry your eyes out, to let all the emotions out, so that then you can go, right, now the emotions have lifted, I can see a little bit clearer, and my head fog has lifted. I think that's a huge thing, is we tend to hide emotions, because in this day and age, you shouldn't cry, or you shouldn't this, or, but actually if you let that go, then you can see things much clearer.
Great advice. I love that. I love that.
I know you've just got pictures of me like crying my eyes out to no good.
What I love more than anything what you just shared is just the self-awareness that that is what benefits you. For somebody else out there, you might say like your example of crying your eyes out in the bathtub might be like going to like run so far, like just want to run to where it's just like you're so exhausted you just have to go home and just like pass out. Like just that much, let it all out. I mean, who knows? I mean, there's so many people.
Yeah, I've got friends that I'm not the fittest of people, but I have got friends that love running, and they'll be like, I love running, it just clears my mind, and I just, when I go and have a run, that gets it, that clears it. And yeah, everyone has their own way of being. I've always been quite a bit of a crier, so to me, I know that if I get that out, I'm done. Or if I go in the car and I do like a video journal, and I'll be like shouting and going at the phone, thinking it's my husband or something, thinks that he's done. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, and you did this and you did that. And then at the end, I'm like, oh, actually, he's not that bad, you know, but all the things he does do come into my head. Whereas if I don't vent and get it out or even write it down, I can't see the other side of it. I tend to just see my side of it. Whereas when I've said it all and I've got it all out, I can go, yeah, but you know, he does this, and think of all the things he does do, you know, and I kind of flip the switch instead of letting things fester and get worse.
I love that. I love the self-awareness so much, because when you do whatever it is for you out there listening that is necessary for you to be able to get back to, because the whole thing, what Becci just described is getting back to, that allows us to get back to peace and being content. And once we can get back to at least peace, not saying you're going to go from like just a rough day and challenges and rough thoughts and, you know, crying in the bathtub to like bliss. Like that's just
no, you feel worse. You might feel worse. I sometimes come out and I think, oh, I feel worse, but it lives a bit.
Absolutely. Which is just all we want is to, first and foremost, to allow the momentum that is feeling really, really heavy to slow down. Because once the momentum gets going, I mean, it could just go to where we're just in all out like depression.
You know, you have to stop and be able to go, actually, no, I can't ignore this anymore. I need to feel it. I need to journal. I need to do whatever it is to get it out and get to the bottom of it. Because 9 times out of 10, if I was to say to someone that sits with me and I say, so what's bothering you? They could come out with a million things. But then when they've kind of unleashed all of that on me, all the little day-to-day things aren't the actual issue. It's actually something much deeper and much, you know, they're able to see what the actual problem is. And then they can see, oh, okay, so that's the problem. How can we deal with that? As opposed to all the things that we've kind of covered it up with, you know, all the silly little things that happen from day to day.
Absolutely. Clarity that you just described, just giving themselves some clarity. Like, okay, challenges for sure. And then this is something that can, you know, move from this. I can take these challenges, have the life experience here. Yeah, rough to deal with whatever this is. But now I have the clarity as far as, okay, this is what I can do, or this is where this can go, or this is where I'm excited to go with this. And then that clarity gives us all the peace. And the peace is what allows us to, we can start when we're ready to flow energy in the direction of what we do want to create, where we do want to go. And that's where we all enjoy being as humans, is moving towards something that we're excited to be or do or have or whatever it is the adventure of the flowing of energy in the direction that we want to go is what we enjoy most. But a lot of times it takes to being able to do all the things that Becci just described and whatever else is your process out there, being self-aware enough to actually do something about it. Because I feel I have so much compassion, because I know all of us have the capability of feeling, you know, joyful, happy for sure, but also powerless and depressed and everything in between. Yeah. And we've all been there. And so I have compassion for humanity, because they're no different than me. If you're seeing someone experiencing, you know, a powerless or depressed time, you know, we have the capability of experiencing that too. They're not separate from us. That's us. So just knowing that we can get to the point where we're, you know, back to at least calm and peace, and we can start flowing in that great direction, in the direction we want to go. I get so excited for people to have the tools to be able to do that, and then root for you out there to do whatever it is that you're most inspired to do with that momentum. You know,
I think also our challenges can help us to help other people. I do believe that you'll find that you'll go through something, and then you'll kind of get through it. And then you might meet someone that's going through something you went through 5 years ago, and you're like, oh my gosh, I know exactly how they're feeling, so you can help them. You know, and so there's so many different examples of that. But for mine in particular, I guess I was in a extremely violent relationship, and I remember when I ended that, for years I would write a book about it. I wrote stories and stories about it, and I thought my path would lead me to helping people that have been in domestic violence situations. It now turns out that I don't really deal with anyone that's in that situation, but in wanting to help someone through an experience I had, because I knew something about it, it opened up lots of doorways for me and lots of avenues to help other people in other ways, with lots of other experiences that I've had. So our challenges, although they're awful in the moment, at some point we'll be able to help someone else because of the things we've been through.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, that's the awesome thing about sharing a planet with 7.7 billion people, is we've all lived such unique life experiences, but have shared, you know, some of those experiences that, like Becci was just describing. If we're able to, you know, to move through it as we move through it, and then be able to share that experience, can definitely inspire and empower.
Help other people to know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. You know, there is, the fog lifts if, you know, if you give yourself the opportunity to see that.
Awesome. Okay, so have a question for you. And at the time of this recording, we're right at the beginning of 2020. And what are you excited about this year, or that you're creating, or anything going on in Becci's world? What are you excited about right now? What's going on?
I've got a book coming out this year,
Awesome.
being published in June. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to this, obviously. I'm launching my own podcast, so I hope you'll come and chat on that as well. So I'm looking forward to that. And just seeing what happens. I love seeing every year, especially at the minute, it seems to start, and I think I know where it's going, and then something will happen. I'm like, oh my gosh, that came from nowhere. I'm looking forward to the surprises, the things that that I haven't got in my calendar yet that turn up. I was looking forward to a trip to Bali, but I think because of my self-awareness, I've realized going to Bali for 7 days on my own after something that happened when I went to Abu Dhabi with my son, that's just not for me right now. I'm not ready for that right now. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing, I'm excited about seeing where this goes, what happens this year. Every year surprises me and more changes. So I love that about a year, the spontaneity of it.
That is an awesome place to live. For everybody out there, like that sense of that you just felt from Becci, how she lit up when she just described the adventure and the excitement for the unknown. That is a really good place for us to be in, because the universe, God, source, whatever you want to call it, will send us the synchronicities, the good ideas, the people that you didn't even know existed, all sorts of things. Like, it's just unlimited, you know, fun that we can have.
Last year, nearly this time last year in February, I won a ticket to an event that I'd only just heard about. I won a ticket randomly, and went along to London on my own, and that was huge for me and my anxiety, kind of traveling to London on my own and venturing around. And then I got there, and that's where I met the publisher, who is now publishing my book this year. So that one thing led, you know, so much happens from one tiny moment, and I love that.
You willing to share your book title yet, or you're saving it for us?
It's called Once Upon a Real Life.
Nice. Once Upon a Real Life. And is it are you sharing just life experience? What are you sharing in the book?
So it's kind of understanding how to deal with challenges. And so it's very much, it goes into like archetypes, but kind of looking at characters in our lives and ourselves, our own traits, our own archetypes, and putting them as like fairy tale characters. So when am I becoming the evil stepmother, or, you know, the evil, or the dragon, or, you know, various different characters. And if you can associate them with fictional characters, you can deal with them differently. So parts of yourself that you know, like the judgy part of me, I'll go, oh gosh, that's the ugly stepsister coming in there. And when you can give it a fictional name, you can go, okay, so how would I deal with that? How would this other part of me deal with this character, you know? So and then people can come up to me and people could say, okay, so I've got a dragon in my life and I feel like a Cinderella or whatever. Okay, so when you read that story, how would you think those two should interact to help you, you know, how would they help each other? That kind of thing. And then examples of life experiences and how you can best deal with them depending on your state of mind or your frame of mind or your how you choose to be.
That's awesome. That's fun too. I like helping people be able to, that'll be fun for people to do, and then for them to be aware, and then to be able to go in the direction.
Yeah, we can all think of someone, and like it was really interesting writing the book because thinking back through my life and thinking, so fairy godmother is one archetype in there, and it's the people that you can think of in your past that aren't massive figures in your past, but they showed up and you know they really wanted. So for me, I went down when I was a teenager, I'm so blessed that my teenagers are nothing like me. I was a complete nightmare. But if I think back, I can see there was this one teacher in particular who tried his hardest to help me. And I never forget him being really upset because he couldn't help me. And so for me, oh my gosh, he was a fairy godmother. You know, he was one of those people that showed up, that got put in my life to say, Becci, come on, you can change. You can change your path now. And obviously my teenage self was like, no. But so it's acknowledging all throughout your life those moments of people that enter, that are put there to go, oh, yeah, I see it. And then you can see it in your life now, and you can see it with people that approach you, new people you come into contact with. You can go, oh, I've got your number. You're a, whatever.
That's awesome. I love it. That'll be very, very beneficial for many people. I love it. I'm excited for that. And yes, I will, of course, do your podcast anytime you want me to. I love being the guest on podcasts because I sit back and I just flow, because people actually want me to talk. There's always like a balance between, because I'm inspired by everything that you say on here and all the guests that you guys say. And so I'm just like flowing back to you. And then at the same time, I have questions that I'm going to ask because I want you to share, because the audience hears me talk enough, I'm sure. So when I get to be the guest, it's like, ooh, I get to.
Yeah, it would be really interesting. I'd love to. It's something I've wanted to do for about a year. And then last year, I think a big tip for anyone that is struggling with self-doubt or self-limiting beliefs is set yourself a diary entry, like in your calendar, I'm going to do this on this date. And then when that reminder comes up a day before, you've got to do it. So for me, my two things were doing the podcast and doing a YouTube channel. And I set them up about a year ago, but I haven't actually committed to them. And so I kind of put it in my calendar that when the children went back to school and I was back in the flow, I would do it. And so, yes, now I've said it to you, I've got to commit.
Awesome. No, you have all of our full support, and definitely anything that you choose to do that you're putting your awesome energy into, that we're feeling in this episode, it's going to be awesome for the people that get to experience it, and for you to do it because you're passionate about doing this stuff and helping people. So yes, answer is yes to all things that Becci wants to do. Books, podcasts, YouTube.
And what are you looking forward to this year?
Oh my gosh, so much. Just continuing to allow life to evolve. Like you, I'm just like an adventurous little kid. The Universal Abundance community is what my main focus and excitement is right now.
I'm also excited about that.
Yes, but we're gonna talk about that for sure. I'm really, because of the foundation of it all is this awareness that we've been talking about, throughout this episode, is just helping people become who and what we all truly are, and just being able to live out whatever version of life. I look at life, Becci, as just a movie, and all of us are the individual stars of our own movie, and we get to co-create and co-star. With, like right now, we're co-starring in each other's movies, and that movie can be whatever we want it to be. So whatever we see on the screen right now, if it's something that, like, oh, this movie could be way better than this. Like, if you wouldn't go to the theater and watch your movie called Life, then let's do something that makes it more fun for you, because you want to see what you want to see. Like, there's different parts of life that are exciting too. Yeah. And the good news for all of us is, even if right now we don't know how we can make the movie screen look like that, we can all make the movie screen be whatever it's going to be. And there's something that we can do with what we have, from where we are with what we have, just right here and now. And we can be excited, even if that's just, I'm really excited about creating a podcast or YouTube channel. Let me Google how to create a podcast and just see what comes up. And the inspirations there, like, ooh, that's interesting. I didn't even know that. When I decided to do this podcast, there were things that were way easier about it than I ever imagined. Like, I post to one place and it sends it to Spotify, iTunes, Google, everywhere. I'm like, My
It's
gosh, I
amazing.
was gonna have to upload because I already upload to Instagram and Facebook all the time. I'm like, do I have to upload to like 90 different places? This would be so time consuming.
I think this is going to be really exciting for you because the momentum behind everything and the energy behind everything you do is just full committal. Do you know what I mean? It's fully committed, and that's amazing. And I think that's what people love to see, is that momentum of positive, good energy.
I've chosen a while back to only put my energy into things that I could be really, really excited about. Because if it's not that, then I know it's not going to be sustainable, and I'm just not going to last anyway. So I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
going to create anything. Like I have to like, and this could give you a lot of peace out there, because if there's right now, if you're not super like, certain of which direction like you want to go, and like you're really excited to go flow a lot of energy at one thing. The awesome thing for all of us is the more life experiences that we have, this is a great time for you to just be able to go try different things and to look up different things and to learn about different things. Like, ooh, I didn't even know that was a thing that I could do. Like, I'm excited about that. And it's okay to be in that place. Like, I've been there where it's like, there's not really anything that I'm super excited to do right now. So I'm going to do nothing to do with what I have from where I am. So I'm here, and there's a beach right there. So I'm going to go out and just have fun at the beach. Have inspiration from that. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, now I'm excited about this. And so yes.
And you get, I think when you give yourself a break and think, I don't always have to have all the answers right now, and you kind of just enjoy the moment and do something fun, all of a sudden something will come and you're like, oh, you'll meet someone or something will happen where you just go, oh, okay, yeah, that sparks something inside me, But when we're trying too hard to find all the right answers that we think we should have, we can sometimes try too hard that we don't see it. It's too obvious. It's like, well, no, it can't be that because that's too easy or too. So yeah.
Absolutely. Trying to, even just the act of trying to figure something out before it's ready for us to figure it out, like it makes us anxious. Like the more harder we try to like figure out all these things, and if we're doing it from a place of like, I got to figure this out because I want this result, because normally we're trying to figure something out because we want something different in our lives. So the harder that we're struggling to figure it out right here and now, like we need the answer right now so that I can, create this thing that I want to create, just the more anxious, and that feels heavy, versus knowing that there's these things that right now from your life experience up until today that you want to be doing out there. And just because you don't know the exact how it's going to all unfold right now, if you can live from that place that Becky just described, as far as being excited for the unknown and the adventure of life, and just saying, knowing that cool things are going to synchronistically happen, when you're in the vibes to receive them. They're going to happen, by the way, when you're in some form of a good mood, like when you're at peace, when you're content. Like you're not going to have synchronicities that you love, that you're like, oh, this is amazing, when you're in like you're being mean to people or like being like a jerk. Not going to happen that way. So just know that as well. But then the awesome thing is we don't need to know all the answers today. Like you don't need to know the answers to all life's questions right now. Like you're not ready to apply all the answers. Like you just need the answers that you need right now.
You need to have a vision, but you don't need to know how you're going to get there. There's something that Jack Canfield said that really I always think of, when he says about driving in a car at night and your lights are on and you can't see the whole road. You can only see like a few feet in front of you, but you just trust that you're going to get there. And that's so true. You just have to trust that you're going to get there, and that divine timing will allow everything to take place if you stop trying to fix the how and the why and the outcome, because also anything can happen that you have no idea of. I never thought that I would get a book published this year, but I had always dreamt that one day. I always wrote, but that happened and I didn't even see it coming. And it was because I was okay with not having the answers. I was okay with just enjoying the writing process. And then everything kind of unfolded. And I feel like everything seems to flow a bit better when we stop feeling like we have to control it. And I think also when we try and control something, we kind of only have one way that we can allow things in. We're like, well, it has to come in like this. I need this to happen. And that's the only way I'm going to be happy, because then you're closing off so many possibilities that you can't even see, because it has to be this one way. It's never going to be that way because you're so fixed on it, but you're also doubting it as well, that it has to be that way, but I'm not quite sure it's going to happen, but I'm hoping it will. You're closing off the possibilities of every other door opening. So it's about kind of just letting it be.
Absolutely. Such good advice. Rewind that and listen to, well, you guys live can't rewind, but when you guys listen to the actual episode, rewind that and listen to what Becci just shared, because that's so, so important. If all that we really can control, like if we really want to make life as simple as it can be, is what's the vibe and mood and energy and frequency that I'm in here right now. Like that's what we have control over. And when we just become like aware of that and just decide that maybe just right now, maybe it's not possible for you to feel blissful right now for whatever reason, the way that things are happening, the way you're looking at things, but can you be aware of, where you are now and be okay with it, not make yourself wrong for it, and maybe allow yourself to, to release anything that's causing lots of momentum? Is there things about those things to appreciate where if I can find anything to appreciate about what's going on, then I'll feel a little better? If not, is there anything else that I can think about of the trillions of subjects on the planet that might be a little bit easier to think about than that thing that's causing me to feel really crappy the way I'm thinking about that? And if we can do that and just, is there no way to feel good about anything right now? Do I need to just take a nap? Like we talked about?
Yeah.
Is there anything that
don't need to go to crying about?
Yeah, is it crying about anything? I guess having awareness, what that's going to do is it's going to allow us to feel as good as we can possibly feel in this current moment. And then in the next moment, the awesome thing is we can feel a little bit better than that and a little bit better than that. And all of a sudden, momentum can carry you to where it's like, wow, like this awesome thing just found me because I was like ready. I was in a place where I was ready to receive it. And then I can actually be really excited to go do something with this idea that I just had or this person that I just met or whatever it is. And now momentum is carrying you. And now all of a sudden you are super happy and joyful and blissful and enjoying life. And, we all love experiencing life that way. And it's okay if that's not right now what you're experiencing. But my encouragement to everyone is that if you're aware of it and you want to, do something about it and feel a little better, it will get better for sure. Just do all the things that Becci said and you'll be good. Well, anything that I always love to ask the guests, Becci, because you've shared awesome stuff the whole time, anything that you want the audience to know from you that whenever they hear this episode, whether it be 100 years from now, and they're like, what are those clothing items that those humans are wearing? And like, what are those things? they're floating around doing other things by that time, but still having access to these episodes that will still be universally true, these things that we're sharing even 100 years from now. Anything that you want to share with the audience that whenever they hear it, you think will impact them?
My biggest advice that I would give to anybody is the one thing that can help us in any situation when it comes to dealing with other people, and I think this is something I've really had to learn over the last few years, is when we were talking a minute ago about having to control situations, we sometimes feel like we want to control people around us or how they treat us or and I deal with that a lot in work, with my children, in life. We all do deal with people that we think, I wish you were different, I wish you would treat me differently or respect me or this. And the one thing I would say is you can't control anybody. The only thing you can control is how you react. And so for me, that has been life-changing, is how I react to how someone is with me. So if someone is trying to make me, I don't know, if I think someone's trying to be manipulative or put me on a guilt trip or something like that, they're only succeeding if I react in that way, accordingly. Do you know what I mean? So our reactions can change our whole lives and our whole outlook on everything, because what we think other people think of us by how they treat us can really affect us. And so if we can react differently, it doesn't matter how anyone treats us.
So good. Such good advice. That gives, it's so empowering for us to know that it's not what happens, but how we respond, how we choose to interpret it and look at it. That gives all the power back to us versus you've seen it, Becci, and I've seen it so much, and I've done it, where we can allow things that are happening in the external. We can turn on the TV and it's the news is on, which not my best recommendation of things to watch.
No, I don't watch the news.
and that can, because of how we choose to see that, which the reason I don't watch the news is because I always say there's no special bonus points for watching something that 100 of 100 people would decide that that's not something pleasant to look at or hear about or to watch. There's no extra bonus points that we get as humans to where we can still be, in a decent energy. I've never heard of anyone watching something that is just really
great
and feeling better because of watching it. I don't know if that's even a possibility.
I think when it comes to the news, I've got this thing with the news where I don't watch it because I think right this minute, I can see all this pain and all this hurt if I watch it, and I can't change that. And so what I choose to do instead is not watch the news and fill my head of all the awful things that are going on around the world. I choose to make a difference where I can right now. Watching that is not going to, I'm not going to change the world by watching that and making myself feel, feel the feels of that. So I'm much better off keep going, plugging away and trying to help as many people as I can to hopefully be able to touch a part of the world that makes a difference. So yeah.
So good. So good. Yeah. If our cup is not to the point where we're filled up to where we can overflow it and help others, like if we're watching or doing or just doing anything that's like diminishing like our own like overflow.
The news, I'm not going to be able to make a difference on watching the news and watching something huge going on. I can't in this moment change that, so watching it isn't going to do anything. It isn't going to do any good. It doesn't make me less aware or ignorant of anything that's going on. I'm quite aware. I mean, you can't avoid it these days, but I send my healing thoughts to anyone going through anything, but I can't change it all, so watching it doesn't change that.
Absolutely. Yeah. With social media, there's no lack of like awareness. Like we all know what's going on.
No.
And unless you're just like buried under a rock, you're not using the internet, which I think everybody pretty much is these days. So yeah, you can choose where you get your sources of information.
Yeah. And I feel like, having said that, it's really funny because I don't watch the news, and then I'll notice that I can't stop catching the conversations of others that are talking about something, and then I'll see a snippet of something and I think, oh, hang on a minute, what is in that I need to know? And it could be something that makes me realize. So for instance, this Bali trip, I kept on seeing various different things that made me think, that kicked my anxiety up actually, that made me think, oh gosh. And then I realized, no, nothing major is going to happen if I fly to Bali, but my anxiety will reach a peak that I won't be able to cope with miles away from home and everyone I love. I'm not going to put myself in that position where I feel that vulnerable. Do you know what I mean? So those things were brought to my attention to go, Becky, hang on, are you able to cope with that situation right now? No, I'm not. So I kind of caught snippets of it, and I knew it was for a reason. I knew that I was seeing all these little things to make me feel anxious, to go, actually, yeah, I'm not ready. I'm not. And that's okay to accept that I'm not ready for that yet. I'll go there one day and I'll feel great. But right now I'm still learning and I'm still evolving and growing and dealing, and so, yeah. So sometimes I see snippets of news, and every time I see it, if I see it repeatedly, I know that it's like, oh, okay, what's that trying to tell me? Why am I catching that when I don't really want it? So yeah.
Becky, you're such a good example of self-awareness. Like, I'm sure the audience agrees. Like, I love the questions that you ask. Like, this is such a great place to get to for everybody out there listening, when we could just ask questions, like things like Becky just mentioned, like, what do I need to see there? Because anytime we ask any powerful question, even if we don't get the answer right that second, like, it's coming. Just expect it. Like, anytime I ask them any type of question, like out to the universe, I just expect the answer to find me when I'm ready for it. And it normally happens pretty quick. A lot of times within a 24 to 48 hour period, or maybe even a few moments later. Like, I'll say something, it just will find you. And it's just great to be self-aware enough to be able to ask those questions. And again, what we've been talking about this episode, not needing to know the answer right that second, to where you can make yourself anxious trying to figure it all out. Because
years ago, I would have watched all the news and I would have gone, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in a plane accident. It's going to be awful, this, that, and the other. And my head would go overdrive. And then, but I would still go. I'd go, and then I'd get there and I'd have a massive panic attack. And I'd be like, oh my gosh. And I would not enjoy the trip. So now I'm able to go, what's this trying to tell me? It's trying to tell me that, Becky, you're still not ready. You're going to be okay. You're going to get there. You know that, but you're not ready to deal with the anxiety of the whole journey and everything that comes with it for me personally. So yeah, it's knowing that sometimes you just have to, pick up the little gems of inspiration and think, oh, why are you there? The synchronicities of, why do I keep hearing this? Why is it being drawn to me? And then just letting it be, asking that question, like you said, asking that question of why am I seeing this? What's it trying to tell me? And then all of a sudden you can have I do dream interpretation as well. So you can have a dream of like, oh, I know what that's trying to tell me. I had a dream of a situation that I've been in before, and that's what it's reminding me of, so yeah.
Awesome. I love it. This has been such a fun conversation. I'm really appreciative for you. You guys out there, follow Spiritual Mama on that's Becci's Instagram handle. Super easy to remember. That's an awesome handle. follow. It's spelled just like that too, like Spiritual Mama, right?
Spiritual Mama with 2 M's in the Mama. I couldn't get 1 M. Someone else had it.
Isn't that the correct spelling?
I don't know. It is now. For me, it is now.
That's how oh, okay. Mama could be, okay.
M-A-M-A.
I always joke. I won the 3rd grade spelling bee championship in my class, but I guess it's been all downhill since then.
I don't think Mama would have come up either.
Either way, it's you see all of Becci's links here in the description, so you can easily connect.
Thank you so much for asking me. It's been amazing.
I knew we would have fun. Conversation that I was excited to have with you.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm just excited that it's recorded and people can experience this and receive whatever inspiration that they're meant to receive from it. And you're awesome. I really appreciate you coming on and taking the time in your love and light, and your self-awareness is great. I love the flow of this conversation. This will be beneficial for sure for people listening. I know it.
Thank you, and thank you so much again. It's been really, it helps me every time we have these kind of conversation. It helps us. Absolutely. No, 100%.
I'm selfishly also having awesome conversations that I like to have, and just thankful that there's a platform and other people that want to play and co-create with me. And then I know that the intention is to impact and uplift, and it wouldn't be as fun to have the conversation if it was just only you and I receiving the benefit. I'm like, I want other people to receive the benefit as well. That's what makes it so much fun. So
that's lovely.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys out there for tuning in to another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Definitely share this with anybody that you're inspired to share it with, and to share, period, because it will make an impact on people that hear this. And continue to rate and review and subscribe if you're not already. Make it easier for people to find these beautiful episodes, and we'll keep talking with awesome humans like Becci, and sharing this love and light with all of you, and just sending positive vibes to all. Happy New Year. And
New Year.
Excited for, I'm going to say that all year, Becci. I decided that. It'll be, you guys are going to joke. You'll hear these episodes in like October. You're like, he's still saying Happy New Year? So, well, you guys, we appreciate you sending love and light to all, and we'll talk with you soon. Have an amazing, amazing day. Awesome. You're so much fun, Becci. That was an awesome conversation. I love it.
It was really good. Thank you so much. I've been so excited for it all day.
Me too. I knew we would have fun.